Welcome to SC Squared, and after a short Thanksgiving break, we're back and ready to go. I'm Michelle Kennedy, alongside Adam Shear. Adam, how was your Thanksgiving?
You know, probably overindulged a little bit too much, so I might be shopping for some new pants this weekend.
Well, hopefully you overindulge in some sports knowledge as well, because we're going to talk about Guy-Marc Michel's ineligibility as well as possible football coaching candidates for Indiana.
And then we'll discuss how the Pacers beat two NBA giants this week, how the Colts might be letting the division slip away, and how the Chicago Bears might have finally bared down on the NFC North.
And then Logan, Zach, and Hank will be talking some national sports topics. Let's get right into it. The NCAA decided on Tuesday that Guy-Marc Michel, IU center, is ineligible. This kind of reminds us of what happened with Enes Kanter of Kentucky. Were you surprised by this decision? How do you think this will affect them, in the Big Ten season?
I was slightly surprised from the standpoint that Kanter had accepted money to play professionally overseas and Michel hadn't, so that's a little different. I thought that he might have some leniency there. But from the standpoint of how this affects the team, I think IU's really going to miss Michel once it gets down to its Big Ten season when it has to face like Purdue's Juwan Johnson and Ohio State's Jared Sullinger. They're really going to struggle in the post defense against players like that, and it might be tough for them once Big Ten season comes around.
Right. I think we're going to need to see some of the other big guys, the 6'9" guys like Pritchard, Elston, and Capobianco, really step it up and fill the void. Otherwise, it could be really detrimental to the Hoosiers.
Yeah, another team that's struggling here in town is the IU football team. They did beat Purdue and win the Old Oaken Bucket, but now they've let go of their head coach, Bill Lynch, even though he did win that bucket 2 times in 4 years. Who is a viable candidate for a replacement, in your opinion?
I really like Brady Hoke from San Diego State. He has the in-state ties to Indiana. He coached at Ball State, and he's been successful. And let's not forget, it was only a few years ago that he was coaching the Cardinals to a nearly undefeated season, including a win against the Hoosiers at Memorial Stadium. So I think he'd be a great candidate.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Hoke definitely has those in-state ties, as you mentioned. All right, guys, when we get back, we will talk about how the Pacers might have finally turned the corner.
Welcome back to SC Squared. Adam, the Pacers picked up 2 big wins, and I know it's an 82-game season, but wins against the Heat and the Pacers in the same week is pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, that definitely is, and they were both on the road, which is even more important. Here's the thing, though. They lost to the Jazz by 20 in Utah. I know it was a back-to-back, but you'd still like to see a little bit more consistency from this team. I mean, maybe a 10-point loss would have been a little bit more showing of how they're playing, but I do think right now when you go to teams like the Lakers and the Heat, and you beat them so handily, it's really important for this team. And I think they're actually playing at the level where I'd almost guarantee you this team is going to be in the playoffs this season.
Right. I'm surprised by the Pacers, and I think that they're playing at a level well above what many people thought they would.
Yeah, and a team that's doing that as well, and I hate to switch to football just awkwardly like this, but the Bears have really done that in the NFC North this year. I thought the Packers would have been the team that took that division, but right now the Bears look great. Tell us about what you think of this team and what their chances are come postseason.
Well, this year the Bears seem to be able to realize that they need to make those changes and stick with them, and they've improved ever since they had that bye week. On defense, with Julius Peppers, I think he was a great acquisition by the Bears. Offensively, Mike Martz has done a great job. We have a standout season from Matt Forte, so all around just really an improved, more cohesive team. Also, I think going into the postseason, fans can expect to see more from them. They like to be called the underdogs. They come back from no one expects them to win, and they like to be on that side.
Yeah, the Bears team is just really impressive, and like you said, Peppers is just playing at a defensive player of the year type level right now.
Right. Also, a team that's usually dominant, struggling now are the Colts. What's going on with them?
Oh, there's just so much. Injuries are hurting this team. They can't get their running game going. And on defense, they just aren't tackling well enough. I could keep going on and on about stuff, but really, I don't want to blame injuries too much, but with this team, it does factor in a lot. You lose Austin Collie with the concussion. Joseph Adai hasn't been playing a lot. Dallas Clark's pretty much done for the season, and so is Bob Sanders. So they've lost a lot of key guys. And you can't really use that excuse too much, though. It should be that they have the next man up philosophy, and that should how it be. Right. The Green Bay Packers aren't doing that bad, and they've had similar injury problems. So this Colts team really needs to step it up if they want to get back to the playoffs, and the Super Bowl hangover might be really affecting them.
Yeah, well, hopefully with the banged-up roster, the Cowboys coming in, the Colts can get back on top. When we come back, Hank and Logan will discuss some ACC challenge.
We heard you were laughing about it.
That's fine. I'm not laughing about it. You think this is funny?
We don't think it's very funny at all. We take IU SportCom very seriously. Do you?
I'm real serious. I put my heart and soul into this every single week.
What do you do all week?
Just telling you right now what I do every single week. Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I study my ass off. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny. It's not fun. Nothing's funny to me.
You want funny? I got a joke for you, Derek.
I'm done.
IUSportCom.com is as serious about IU sports as Derek Anderson is.
Welcome back to SportCom Sport Chat alongside Logan Robertson. I'm Hank Glassner, and we'll talk a little Big Ten ACC Challenge basketball as the Big Ten won the tournament or the challenge for the second straight year, winning 6 games to 5. But I think this really solidifies the Big Ten's position as the top conference in the nation, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think their depth is really what separates them. They've got 5 teams in the top 25, probably 7 or 8 teams with a legitimate chance to make it to the NCAA tournament in March. So their depth is really what gets it. They've got a couple of teams in the top 10. Michigan State played great against Duke, probably the 2 best teams in the country right there. And Wisconsin looked really good. And Northwestern getting a big win against Georgia Tech.
Please make the tournament.
So, maybe the first year that they can make the tournament.
Right.
So that's really big. And so that just shows the kind of depth that the conference has this year.
Yeah, Michigan State played just about as well as you can in Cameron Indoor Stadium and still couldn't manage to fight out with the win because Duke is just that good. What do you make of IU's loss to Boston College? I mean, Steve Donahue is in a rebuilding mode over there, kind of like what Tom Crean's in, but it's his first year there. What do you make of their first loss?
Well, I mean, they really struggled in the first half, and I think that was just, kind of some road woes that they had. The first road game, first really true test that they've had this season playing a big conference team. So, it really showed in their they're struggling to shoot the ball, and then their defense really struggled as well. But they're, that 10-minute stretch with 15 minutes to go in the first half, or in the second half to the 5-minute when they got it down to 1 point, I thought that was their best 10 minutes of basketball that they've played. Definitely in that game, maybe in part of the season, able to come back, so it shows they have a chance to come back in some of these games.
Yeah, if they can short up on their defensive lapses, they'll become a better team as the year goes on. When we come back, we'll have a little hockey action for you. Welcome back to our special Hanukkah hockey special alongside Zach Eisenberg. I am Hank Glasser. Happy Hanukkah to all our Jews out there. And let's get straight into it. The LA Kings have been rumored to be trading for Marco Sturm. I almost said Mark Savard, but that's a different Bruin.
Yeah.
Marco Sturm, who's been injured for a while. What makes of this? What do you think of this?
It's very interesting the way this is going to be played out. Sturm's been injured with the ACL and MCL injury to his left knee. He has not played 1 game this season. Has a $3.5 million cap hit, which would leave the Kings with about $6 million in cap space to spare if GM Dean Lombardi were to make another move. But what's interesting about this is that Sturm had to waive his no-trade clause in order to be moved, and he cannot be activated from the injured reserve by the Bruins because it would put them over the cap limit. So the Bruins have to make a move. The Kings desperately need a left winger. So as of right now, the trade is on hold or potentially off the table. And my sources are saying that Lombardi is trying to acquire extra medical records about Sturm. So we'll see what happens with that. The Kings desperately need a left winger, and Sturm is one of the guys who will help them. He averages about 25 goals a season, and the Bruins need to make a move, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's a proven 20 to 25 goal scorer every year. With that said, thanks for tuning in to SportCom Sport Chat. Once again, happy Hanukkah to all our Jews
Happy
out there.
Hanukkah, everyone.
And we'll see you next time.